Since the tragedy of 9/11, the U.S. government has been tracking its mastermind, Osama Bin Laden.
We're still no closer to defeating our enemy.
No birth certificate, no cell phone. You guys are a ghost.
But after a decade of searching, a CIA operative is convinced that she knows where he hides.
You don't think she's a little young for the hard stuff?
Washington says she's a killer.
So a Navy SEAL team is sent to capture the world's most wanted terrorist in Zero Dark 30.
Hi, I'm Salim.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Liz, and we're here today to discuss the follow-up to Kathryn Bigelow's Oscar-winning film, The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30. We've all just seen it. Sean, why don't you start?
Zero Dark 30 means 30 minutes after midnight. It's a military term, and it's about the events that led up to the killing of Osama Bin Laden. We start from 9/11, and we span nearly 10 years until we finally found him, and the Navy SEALs went and killed him. Jessica Chastain plays Maya, who's a CIA agent obsessed with finding Bin Laden, and she does. And it's mesmerizing. It's really gripping drama. I was sucked into this movie the whole way. It's about 2 hours and 40 minutes. I didn't feel the length at all. The pacing is really well done, and it's quite a piece of cinema.
I agree. It's a mesmerizing movie. It's not maybe as entertaining as The Hurt Locker, but it's still very, very relevant to what's going on now.
Hurt Locker is definitely more of a character piece, and this revolves around a theme, and it revolves around politics and political events, and I think it revolves around the theme of intimidation.
It's interesting because it's very ambiguous how Kathryn Bigelow is in terms of torture, where her opinions lie.
I feel the movie's apolitical. I don't think that it's trying to make a political argument one way or another. It's basically chronicling events, and the events that led to the killing of Osama bin Laden, you have to chronicle the detainee interrogations. I mean, they were a critical part of it, and you can't argue that the system in which they found bin Laden, which was through this courier system of people who actually were speaking directly to bin Laden and basically carrying out his tasks while he was away in this compound, they were found through this enhanced interrogation technique. So that's a vital part of the story, and she has to chronicle that. I don't know if she's putting a stamp on how she feels about it one way or another.
I do feel like I can't figure out the politics of the film, but I wouldn't say that it is apolitical, because when I'm watching this movie and I'm feeling a forward progression regarding finding bin Laden, and then Obama comes in, and it feels like his election is thwarting the progress of the narrative of the film, I start to feel a little bit of tension in the film against Obama, and so I'm trying to figure that out myself.
What I thought was interesting is that it was very matter of fact. This is a president, like one of the characters says, who wants all the information before they proceed. Probably what you were looking for in terms of trying to figure out what her stance is on this. This president has to have all the information before making such a huge decision.
Well, also, it's just Jessica Chastain is so amazing, and she has this intense drive to find bin Laden that you want to find bin Laden because Jessica Chastain wants to find bin Laden.
That's very true.
Yeah, and you feel that she is on her own, basically. Yeah. No one is with her, and Chastain really embodies that extremely well, and maybe it's not the most developed character, like we said. The character development is not the point of view of this movie. It's a procedural in a way. It's not necessarily about the characters, it's about the process, but Chastain is a great entity to sort of carry us along throughout the story.
And I love that this is a female character who doesn't have a romantic interest, who's competent and smart, and there's no excuse for that.
He's living in a city. Living in a city with multiple points of egress and entry, access to communications, so that he can keep in touch with the organization. You can't run a global network of interconnected cells from a cave.
Let's talk about the supporting cast a little bit. There's Kyle Chandler, who plays pretty much the same exact role he played in Argo.
Right, from Friday Night Lights.
From Friday Night Lights, exactly.
You're in luck. I got you one-on-one with Faraj.
Seriously? Thank you.
Don't you thank me until you hear what I want for it. I want you to take care of all this before your favorite subject.
Deal.
Joel Edgerton, who plays a Navy SEAL, and he gets third billied. Third billied, and he's barely in the movie, but he gets third billied because he's Joel Edgerton.
And you know who gets more lines than him?
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt from Parks and Recreation. I was very shocked to see him in this role.
But he was believable as a Navy SEAL.
Yes, strangely enough.
Yeah, so I thought that worked really well.
It's slower in the Black Hawk, lacks the offense and the stability, but it can hide.
So, excuse me, what do we need this for in Libya? I mean, Gaddafi's anti-air is virtually non-existent.
It was a great cast, and they're directed very well by Kathryn Bigelow.
Some people wanted to discredit her, that she wasn't really the force that made the Hurt Locker such a success.
which is such a shame because you can see this theme of pessimism about human nature go throughout her films. Like there actually is this auteur stamp thematically on her films.
And I think she's probably the most successful at making movies about Afghanistan or Iraq, considering how difficult these movies are to make and be successful. And I think the reason why they're successful is because of the ambiguity that she brings to them. And I know a lot of people might not like that, but I think that's what makes these movies work.
The last 45 minutes of the movie, I don't know how if that's true or not, but it certainly felt true. The realistic nature of that was presented on screen extremely well.
Some people probably got in trouble for leaking a little bit of information.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
An intense movie from start to finish, which may be a little less entertaining than The Hurt Locker, but will stay with you for some time after. See it.
Zero Dark 30 is a clinical exploration paired with an amazing performance by goddess Jessica Chastain. I say, see it.
Zero Dark 30 is a thrilling follow-up to The Hurt Locker and one of the year's best films. See it.
Yay!
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now I need to catch up on Zero Dark 1 through 29.
We're here today to discuss the new film from Kathryn Bigelow. I forgot the name of the movie.